The day I realized my own family saw me as disposable, I knew my life would never be the same. My name is Emily. I'm 34, single, and for the last 6 years, my life has revolved around one person, my mother. When her health declined after a second stroke, I moved back into the old family house and left my job at the marketing firm. Everyone praised me at first. Emily's the good daughter, they said. My brother Daniel even called me a saint, though he rarely showed up. He and his wife Claire had their own lives, busy and comfortable, in a newer part of town. I didn't mind. I cooked meals, managed mom's medications, sat by her bed through nights when her breathing rattled like broken glass. The promise that kept me going wasn't written on paper, but it was repeated often. "This house is yours, Emily," Mom whispered more than once, touching my hand with the weight of her thin fingers. "You've given up everything for me. It's only fair." I never asked for more, just that. The house was more than walls. It was memory, safety, the one anchor I had. When Mom passed in March, I was hollowed out but steady. I thought grief would be the hardest battle. I was wrong. A week later, Daniel called me to the lawyer's office for the reading of the will. I walked in with quiet confidence, certain Mom's wishes would be respected. The lawyer, a gray-haired man named Benson, cleared his throat and began. His voice was flat, rehearsed. He read that all of Mom's assets, including the house, were to pass to Daniel in recognition of his role as head of the family. My name wasn't there, not once. I felt the floor tilt. My chair scraped against the wood as I leaned forward. "Excuse me, could you read that again?" I asked. Daniel didn't look at me. Claire smirked, folding her manicured hands like she had been waiting for this moment. The lawyer read again. Same words, same betrayal. "That's not possible," I said. "Mom promised. She told me. I've lived there, cared for her. She wanted me to keep the house." Daniel finally turned, his face stone. "Promises don't pay mortgages, Emily. Paper does. And the paper says it's mine." The words burned more than any slap could. I looked at the will. The signature at the bottom trembled in weak strokes. It looked nothing like the steady handwriting Mom used on birthday cards just a year ago. Claire leaned in with a smile as sharp as glass. "You should be grateful, Emily. Daniel might let you stay a while, if you behave." My cheeks flushed hot. The room shrank around me. All the nights I had spoon-fed Mom, all the mornings I had cleaned her sheets, the years I gave away, all erased in a few sentences. The lawyer shuffled papers as if he couldn't hear the crack in my voice. "There is a 30-day period for transfer of possession," he said. "After that, the property is under Mr. Daniel Carter's full control." 30 days. They expected me to pack up my life, leave the only home I had, and hand the keys to the brother who hadn't lifted a finger when Mom cried for help. I walked out of that office dizzy, heart hammering. Daniel's voice followed me down the hall. "Don't fight it, Emily. It'll only make things worse." But in that moment, one thought took root, steady and cold. Something about that will was wrong. The signature, the timing, the smug look on Claire's face. Mom would never have done this willingly. And if Daniel thought I'd walk away quietly, he didn't know me at all. I didn't wait long to confront Daniel. 2 nights after the reading, I drove back to Mom's house, the house I was still living in, and found him standing in the kitchen like he already owned it. He had a tape measure in one hand, Claire scrolling Zillow listings on her phone beside him. "What are you doing here?" I asked. Daniel didn't even flinch. "Checking dimensions. We're thinking of remodeling once the paperwork clears." My chest tightened. "The paperwork isn't final, and this is still my home." Claire laughed, not even looking up. "Your home? Sweetheart, you never paid a cent. Daniel carried the family after Dad died. He deserves this." I slammed my palm on the counter. "Don't rewrite history. I cooked every meal, cleaned every spill, and sat by Mom while you two were sipping wine in Charleston. She told me, she promised, the house was mine." Daniel finally looked up, his eyes cold. "A promise doesn't matter in court. What matters is the will. And the will says it's mine. You should start packing." The fury in me boiled over. "Did you forge it? Did Claire push her to sign when she could barely hold a pen?" His face twitched, just a flicker. But it was enough. Claire stepped forward, voice sharp. "Careful with your accusations. You don't want to find yourself sued for slander on top of being homeless." I stared at her, shaking. "You think throwing legal words at me scares me? I was here. I know Mom. She would never cut me out like this. If you forced her, if you tricked her, Daniel's fist slammed the table. Enough! You think you're some kind of martyr because you stayed here? You're not. You're a failure who couldn't make it on her own. Mom pitied you, Emily. That's why you were here. And now that she's gone, pity won't keep a roof over your head. The words hit like blows. A failure. Disposable. Exactly how the will made me feel. My throat burned, but I didn't let tears show. I gave up everything for this family, I whispered. And you repay me by throwing me out like trash? Daniel leaned close, his breath sour with whiskey. Consider it tough love. You've got 30 days. After that, I'll change the locks. Claire chimed in, mock sweet. Maybe you can rent a little apartment somewhere. Start over. It'll be good for you. I wanted to scream, to throw them both out, but the law wasn't on my side yet. I could feel the walls of the house pressing in, the kitchen suddenly foreign, though I'd cooked hundreds of meals there. Daniel's phone buzzed. He answered casually, like I wasn't even standing there, and walked toward the porch. Claire lingered, lowering her voice. Don't cross us, Emily. You don't have the money, the friends, or the backbone. She smiled like a knife. This is our house now. I gripped the counter to steady myself. Rage and grief tangled inside me. For years, I had been quiet, compliant, the daughter who never argued. But that night, watching Claire glide out like she owned the place, something snapped. I knew I couldn't let this go. Not this time. The morning after that fight, I reached for my phone and saw something that made my stomach drop. The family group chat, Carter Crew, was gone. Not muted, not archived, gone. I refreshed again and again, but the truth settled like ice. Daniel had removed me. It stung worse than I expected. For years, that chat had been the one lifeline tying me to the wider family. Holiday photos, birthday reminders, even Mom's updates when she was well enough to type. Now, while I was still living in the house where I had cared for her, I was erased with a swipe. A notification pinged. Facebook. Someone had tagged me in a post. I clicked and my breath caught. It was Claire. She had written, "Sad to see some people try to profit off a parent's death. Some folks forget family means sacrifice, not entitlement." The comments were a mix of sympathy and gossip. A cousin wrote, "Wow, didn't know Emily was like that." Another added a thumbs down emoji. Not one person defended me. I typed a furious reply, but deleted it before hitting send. Fighting online would only make me look desperate. Still, the humiliation crawled under my skin. That afternoon, my cousin Melanie called. At least I thought she was calling to check on me. Instead, her tone was clipped. "Emily, what are you doing? Claire says you're causing scenes, accusing Daniel of forgery. People are talking." "People should talk about how I gave up my job, my entire life, to take care of Mom," I shot back. Melanie sighed. "Look, I don't want to get in the middle, but maybe you should just let it go. Daniel's family now. He has responsibilities." "And I don't?" I asked, but she had already moved to end the call. By evening, more notifications lit up my phone. Posts from relatives, vague status updates about selfish people, and those who never grow up. Every one of them was aimed at me, though none said my name outright. I tried to cook dinner, but my hands shook too much to hold the knife steady. The house, once warm with Mom's presence, now felt hostile, invaded by their voices and their lies. At midnight, lying awake, I stared at the ceiling and thought of all the sacrifices I'd made. Declining promotions, ending a relationship because I couldn't leave town, watching friends drift away while I stayed tethered to this house. And now I was painted as greedy, entitled. The next morning, a knock came at the door. It was Mrs. Green, the neighbor who had lived across the street for 30 years. She held a casserole in one hand, her eyes kind but troubled. "Emily, I saw the posts," she said gently. "I don't believe them. Your mother always told me you were the one who kept her going. She said this house would be yours." My throat tightened. "She said that to me too, but the will?" Mrs. Green lowered her voice. "I don't know what they pulled, but I know what your mother wanted. And if anyone asks, I'll say it." Her words were the first flicker of hope in days. For the first time, I realized I wasn't completely alone. Still, that night, Daniel's text arrived, cruel and final. "You've embarrassed yourself enough. Stop spreading lies." 30 days, Emily. After that, you're out. I stared at the glowing screen, fury and dread coiling together. They had the will. They had the family on their side. And now they had silenced me from every group, every thread of belonging. But Mrs. Green's promise echoed in my head. I wasn't alone, not entirely. And maybe, just maybe, that was enough to fight back. I woke up with a plan. If Daniel and Claire wanted to fight in shadows, I would drag everything into the light. I started with paper. I opened the fireproof box in Mom's closet and laid the contents across the dining table. Discharge summaries, insurance forms, the binder I kept of every appointment. In the inside pocket, I found the hospital's primary contact and medical proxy form with my name printed in block letters. Dated 10 months ago, Mom's signature there was steady, confident. I scanned it with my phone, then scanned the hospice intake sheet from December where the nurse had written, "Daughter Emily is caregiver. Patient expresses wish that Emily remain in home." Next, I walked across the street to Mrs. Green. She made tea and took out a small spiral notebook. "I write down things I want to remember," she said, flipping pages. On a date 2 weeks before Mom's final decline, she'd jotted, "Helen told me at fence, house to Emily, said Daniel has plenty." She let me photograph the page. "If anyone needs to hear it, I'll say it," she said, eyes bright behind her glasses. Back home, I drafted a post. I stared at the blank status box for a long time, hands shaking, then began. "My mother passed last month. I cared for her for 6 years in this house. A new will appeared that cut me out entirely. Before rumors spread further, here are facts." I attached the scans. I kept the words stripped of accusation. No slurs, no mud. Just dates, forms, and one clear sentence. "My mother repeatedly told me this house was meant for her caregiver daughter. I have witnesses who will say the same." I hesitated, then pressed post. The reaction was immediate. "Proud of you for sharing receipts," wrote an old coworker. "Stay strong," added a neighbor. An aunt I hadn't heard from in months commented, "I always wondered why Daniel never showed up." Others were colder. A cousin chimed in, "Private family matters shouldn't be on Facebook." Claire responded minutes later with a screenshot of the will's front page, names and dates visible, captioned, "Paper feelings, stop lying, Emily." Her friends piled on, "Entitlement is ugly. If you wanted money, you should have kept your job." And a knife from someone I barely knew. Caretaking doesn't mean owning. I didn't reply. Instead, I uploaded a short video. Me in Mom's bedroom, sun cutting across the quilt she loved. My voice was even. "This is not about money. This is about honoring what my mother said over and over. If you were there, you heard it. If you weren't, please stop telling me what my life was." Messages began to trickle into my inbox, the quiet kind, not public. A church friend of Mom's wrote, "She told our circle last fall that you'd stay in the house. I'll sign a statement if needed." A former home health nurse sent, "I remember your mother joking that she'd have to kick you out to make you rest. She told me the house was yours. I can be a witness." I saved every note. By afternoon, the family split was visible in the comments like a map. Uncle Pete, who usually avoided conflict, posted a single sentence. "I was there for Thanksgiving. Helen said Emily would keep the house." Under it, Daniel wrote, "You misunderstood." Under that, Mrs. Green, "No, he didn't." My phone rang. Unknown number. "This is Sister Agnes from St. Matthew." "S," said the voice. "We run the meal train for elders. Your mother mentioned her wishes when we delivered in January. I don't want to be in the middle." A pause. "But truth matters. If a statement helps, I'll provide one." I thanked her, throat tight. Truth mattered, at least to some people. Around 5, a certified letter notice appeared at the door. Claire had posted a photo of hers online earlier with a smug caption, "Legal time." I brought the envelope inside and opened it carefully. A stern letter from a law firm representing Daniel demanded I cease defamation and harassment, threatening action if I continued publishing falsehoods. I read it twice, pulse steadying with each line. They wanted me afraid. They expected me to fold. Instead, I called a number Mrs. Green had pressed into my hand. "My niece is a paralegal. Her firm handles estate disputes." A receptionist answered. Then a calm woman named Rebecca came on. I explained the situation, the documents, the neighbor's notes, the church contact. Don't respond to that letter directly, she said. Save everything. I'll review the will filing and the notarization stamp. If there's irregularity, we'll find it. Do you think there could be? I asked. It's possible, she said. At minimum, a will can be contested if there's undue influence. A last-minute change when someone is weak raises questions. We'll start with the signatures, the witnesses, and the notary journal. When I hung up, the house felt less like a trap and more like a war room. I labeled folders on my laptop: witness statements, medical proxy, social posts. I wrote down a timeline with exact dates. I took photos of Mom's handwriting on old birthday cards to compare with the shaky signature on the will. Night fell. Streetlights blinked on, and with them a flood of notifications. Claire had uploaded a carefully lit selfie from a restaurant, captioned, "Choosing peace over drama." The comments fawned. Underneath, someone tagged me with a laughing emoji. I didn't reply. I uploaded one more document instead. The hospice nurse's weekly notes where she had written, "Patient expresses desire. Emily should be okay in the house when I'm gone." The note was dated 2 weeks before the will's supposed signing. That post changed the tone. The laughing emojis stilled. A high school friend wrote, "That's not something you fake." Another, "This is shameful if true." Even the cousin who scolded me earlier sent a DM. "If you need me to say what Aunt Helen told me last summer, I will." She said she slept better knowing you'd be safe in the house. At 9, a sedan idled outside. Daniel didn't knock. He texted, "Last warning, take the post down. You're embarrassing yourself." I stared at the message until his taillights disappeared. Then I set my phone face down and breathed. Before bed, I checked the mail one more time. A plain white envelope had been shoved through the slot. No stamp. Inside was a single photocopy, a county recorder receipt stamped with a date 2 days before Mom's death. The document type line read, "Deed of Trust, Home Equity, Applicant, Daniel Carter." My heartbeat kicked hard against my ribs. I didn't know who had slipped it there or why, but the words were clear enough. Something more than a will change had happened to this house, and whatever it was already costing. The photocopied deed gnawed at me all night, a home equity filing in Daniel's name stamped just days before Mom died. He hadn't just taken the house on paper, he had borrowed against it. The next morning, I carried the copy to Rebecca's office. She flipped the page under a bright desk lamp, lips tight. "This is a deed of trust," she confirmed. "Your brother used the house as collateral for a loan. Amount isn't listed here, but we can pull the full record from the county." My chest hollowed. "So he's already draining it?" She nodded. "If he doesn't make payments, the bank can foreclose. That house could be gone before probate even ends." The words hit like ice water. For weeks, I had thought the battle was between Daniel and me, paper versus promises. Now I realized the real opponent might be the bank. Rebecca tapped her pen. "I'll request the full deed. Meanwhile, don't tell him what you know. Let him think you're still chasing signatures." I left her office, pulse hammering. Outside, downtown traffic roared, oblivious. I clutched the copy in my bag like a secret weapon. 2 days later, the mail brought the next blow. A thick envelope from First Meridian Bank. Inside, notice of default, loan past due. Balance listed, $142,000. My knees almost gave out. Daniel had leveraged the house nearly to its full value, and he was already behind. That night, I sat at Mom's old kitchen table, the letter spread before me. I imagined Daniel at a blackjack table, chips vanishing, Claire beside him, whispering bets. And all the while, this house, the wallpaper Mom had chosen, the oak floors my father laid, piled on the table like just another stack of chips. The next day, I confronted him. He was waiting in the driveway in his SUV, windows tinted. Claire sat in the passenger seat, sunglasses on, scrolling her phone. I held up the envelope. "Did you think I wouldn't find out? You mortgaged the house before Mom was even gone." Daniel's face went pale, then hardened. "Where did you get that?" "Doesn't matter," I said. "The bank says you're already in default. This house isn't yours to gamble away." Claire leaned across him. "Keep your voice down. Neighbors are watching." "Good," I snapped. "Let them hear. Let everyone see what you've done." Daniel's jaw flexed. "It's temporary. I'll cover it." "With what?" I laughed bitterly. "Your next poker win? You've sunk us all. You're not just stealing from me. You're burying Mom's legacy under debt. He shoved the gear shift. Stay out of my business, Emily. If you make trouble, you'll lose everything when the bank takes it. I stepped closer, blocking the car. You already lost it. The only question is whether I let you drag me down with you. Claire hissed. Move! Daniel revved the engine, but I stood firm until the pressure in my chest forced me back. The SUV lurched away, tires spitting gravel. That night, Facebook lit up again. Claire posted a smiling photo of her and Daniel at a steakhouse, captioned, "When life gets stressful, lean on family." Comments poured in. Stay strong. Ignore the noise. I nearly smashed my phone. Instead, I uploaded my own post, a redacted screenshot of the default notice. Caption, for those asking, this is what's at stake. My mother's home has been mortgaged and already faces foreclosure. This is why I fight. Silence followed. No laughing emojis this time. Instead, DMs trickled in. Neighbors, church friends, even my cousin Melanie, who had lectured me weeks ago. I didn't know it was this bad. If you need me to speak, I will. By midnight, Daniel's text arrived, furious. You have no idea what you're doing. Take it down now. I stared at his words, then at the photo of Mom on the mantel. Her smile was gentle, unshakable. I whispered into the quiet house, You gave me this home. I won't let them burn it. And for the first time, I felt steel in my spine. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. It was survival. I chose the time and the room. Sunday, 2 in the afternoon, the church hall where Mom's memorial had been held. Neutral ground. I texted the family, Daniel, Claire, the aunts and uncles who had been loudest online. I also invited Mrs. Green, Sister Agnes, and 2 of Mom's home health nurses. Rebecca came too, in a navy blazer, a slim folder under her arm. They arrived in clusters, whispering. Daniel walked in last, jaw tight, Claire glued to her phone. He took the chair across from me like a king taking a throne. This is unnecessary, he said. Probate will handle everything. Probate will hear it, I said, but you're going to hear it first. I stood, palms steady. For 6 years, I cared for Mom. She told me 100 times the house would be mine because I gave up everything to keep her home. I lifted the first sheet. Primary contact and medical proxy, my name, dated 10 months before she died. I laid it on the table. Hospice notes. Emily should be okay in the house when I'm gone. 2 weeks before your will date. Another to the table. Witness statements. I nodded to Mrs. Green. She didn't stand. She didn't need to. Her voice carried. Helen told me at the fence that the house was for Emily, because Daniel has plenty. She said it more than once. Sister Agnes folded her hands. She told our circle in January the same. We prayed she would pass without worrying about Emily's shelter. Rebecca slid a photo across the table, Mom's birthday card from the year before. The signature was smooth and confident. Next to it, she placed a blown-up image of the will signature, shaky and uneven. These are not consistent, she said calmly. Also, the notarization on the will uses a stamp registered to an office that was closed that day, due to weather. We have the notary journal on subpoena. If entries were added later, a judge will see. A murmur rippled through the room. Claire's eyes darted. Daniel's hand clenched on the table. And then, I said, laying down the certified notice, there's the loan. A deed of trust was filed 2 days before Mom died. You mortgaged the house for $142,000 and you're already in default. I looked at Daniel. You leveraged the roof over your sister's head and our mother's legacy to cover your gambling. Claire shot to her feet. This is character assassination. Rebecca didn't look at her. It's math. She placed a printout from the county site. Dates. Amounts. Filing numbers. If the court finds undue influence on the will and self-dealing with the property, we will pursue recovery and sanctions. Uncle Pete cleared his throat. Daniel, is this true? Daniel's face hardened into the look he used in schoolyard fights, the one that said he'd rather swing than speak. I did what was necessary. I carried this family when Dad died. I deserve the house. Emily is a freeloader who hid behind Mom's illness. The words hung there, ugly and loud. Then a smaller voice cut through. Dad? Everyone turned. It was Lily, his 17-year-old. She'd slipped in with Claire's sister, unnoticed. Her chin trembled. Is it true you mortgaged Grandma's house? Lily, go wait in the car, Claire snapped. No, Lily said, eyes on her father. Tell the truth. Daniel's shoulders sagged a fraction. It's a temporary cash flow issue. Rebecca tapped the default notice. The bank doesn't call it that. I clicked the remote I'd brought from the church office. On the wall behind me, the projector lit up with a split screen. On the left, a bank transfer out of Daniel's account to Riverside Gaming LLC, 2 days after the loan funded. On the right, a text thread Claire hadn't meant to share but had posted by mistake weeks ago and then deleted. Someone had screenshotted it and sent it to me. In it, she wrote to a friend, "Once the deed records were clear, she can cry all she wants." Claire's hands flew to her mouth. That is taken out of context. No, I said. It is the context. The room went very still. Mrs. Green's eyes shone. Sister Agnes crossed herself. Uncle Pete pushed back his chair. I won't be part of this, he said to Daniel. Your mother deserved better than paperwork tricks and casino slips. Daniel looked around the room, searching for an ally. None came. He tried to laugh, but the sound cracked. Fine, he said. Take your witnesses to your Facebook court. It won't matter. It will, Rebecca said. Today I'm filing a petition to contest the will for undue influence and lack of capacity, a motion to freeze the property, and a request for an injunction preventing further encumbrance. If granted, the bank action pauses and you can't touch the house. We'll also seek an accounting of every dollar you pulled. On what authority? Daniel scoffed. On the authority of the law, she said, not raising her voice, and on the weight of the evidence you just heard. I looked at Lily. You can come by the house any time, I said softly. Your grandmother would want you there. Claire grabbed her purse. We're done. She tugged Daniel's sleeve, but he didn't move. He just stared at the projector, where his own transfers glowed like a confession. I gathered the papers into a neat stack, each page like a brick in a wall that would finally hold. I won't let you throw me away, I said, not to Daniel, but to the memory of Mom in every board of that house. Not anymore. Rebecca clicked off the projector. We'll see you in court, she said. Daniel finally stood. For a second, he looked smaller. Like the boy who used to cheat at Monopoly and flip the board when he lost. He opened his mouth, then closed it, and walked out without another word. The door swung shut. The room exhaled. Mrs. Green squeezed my hand. Truth has a way of standing up when it matters, she said. I nodded, but my stomach was still a fist. Winning the room wasn't winning the case. The bank clock was still ticking, and the judge's signature was the only thing that could stop it. Rebecca handed me the injunction draft. We file first thing in the morning, she said. If the judge signs by noon, the foreclosure hold hits before close of business. I looked at the paper, then at the empty doorway Daniel had left behind. Tomorrow would decide whether the house lived or died. The courthouse smelled of dust and old wood. I sat behind Rebecca as the judge flipped pages, his glasses low on his nose. Daniel sat across the aisle, jaw set, Claire whispering in his ear. The bank's lawyer looked bored, as if my entire life were just another file. When the judge finally spoke, the room went still. The injunction is granted. Foreclosure proceedings are stayed pending resolution of the will contest. He tapped the gavel once. Both parties are ordered to mediation within 30 days. Relief washed over me, but it was bitter too. The house was safe. For now. The fight wasn't over. Outside the courtroom, Daniel lit a cigarette he didn't even bother to finish before crushing it underfoot. You think you won? All you've done is drag the family name through mud. I stared at him, calm where once I'd have shaken. You did that yourself, Claire sneered. Enjoy your moment, Emily. It won't last. Rebecca stepped between us, voice firm. Any further threats will be documented. We walked away. That night, I sat alone in Mom's kitchen. The same oak table where Daniel had slammed his fist weeks earlier. The same wallpaper Mom had chosen decades ago. I should have felt vindicated, but the silence pressed on me. Winning didn't bring Mom back. Winning didn't erase the betrayal. The phone buzzed. A message from Lily. I'm sorry, I didn't know about the gambling. Thank you for speaking the truth. I typed back. You never need to apologize for your father's choices. You're always welcome here. For the first time, I felt a line draw itself inside me, between who I could forgive and who I could not. Lily deserved love. Mrs. Green, the nurses, Sister Agnes, they deserved my gratitude. But Daniel and Claire? No. Some bridges, once burned, were better left as ash. I opened a blank page in my notebook and wrote, in block letters, "No more pity, no more silence." I whispered into the quiet, "I don't forgive you, Daniel. I never will. But I forgive myself for staying quiet so long." The words didn't heal everything, but they carved a path forward. Tomorrow, I would begin again. This time, on my own terms. Spring light streamed through the kitchen windows as I painted over the faded yellow walls with fresh white. The house smelled of soap and new beginnings. Boxes lined the hallway, not for leaving, but for reclaiming. Mom's quilts washed and folded, family photos reframed. The court battle wasn't finished, but the injunction had bought me time. Rebecca assured me our evidence was strong. The shaky signature, the neighbor testimony, the gambling debts. For once, I believed her. For once, I believed in myself. I no longer checked the family group chats. I wasn't part of them, and I didn't want to be. My phone still buzzed with Claire's barbs and Daniel's half-hearted threats, but I let them pile up unanswered. Each silence was a boundary. Each unreturned call was proof that I had finally stepped out of their shadow. Instead, I filled the house with voices that mattered. Mrs. Green came by with banana bread. Sister Agnes dropped off a note from her parish circle, promising prayers. Lily sat on the porch with me one evening, knees tucked up, whispering how she was thinking about college far away. I told her she should go, and she smiled like someone who had just been handed a key. One night after everyone left, I walked room to room, touching the walls. The grief of losing Mom was still there, sharp in the quiet corners, but it no longer chained me. It steadied me. Her legacy wasn't in Daniel's signatures or Claire's smirks. It was in the strength she had planted in me, strength I hadn't realized until I was forced to fight for it. I stood at the doorway, looking out across the yard, and said the words out loud, firm and final. I choose me. No more silence. No more letting others define my worth. No more waiting for scraps of respect from people who had shown me nothing but contempt. The house was mine not just because of Mom's promise, but because I had earned it through every sleepless night, every sacrifice, and now, every battle fought in daylight. If you've listened this far, thank you. Tell me in the comments, what would you have done in my place? And don't forget to subscribe to Revenge Stories Women 25, because stories like mine deserve to be heard.